My camera on my YouTube looks wild. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I think I fixed it. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I know switch of plans today. I told you guys we usually meet at 5 o'clock on Sundays, and then we moved it down to 8 because it was a holiday, and then I was a half an hour late. So thank you, or 34 minutes late. So thank you for still joining me today. So we're gonna just get started. So thank you again. Happy Sunday, happy Resurrection Sunday for those who are celebrating. Happy Easter for those who are celebrating, but welcome again. So it is Sunday, officially April 20th. We are almost towards the end of the month. Just to remind everyone of who I am, in case this is your first time here versus your third time here. So I am Natalie Claude. I am a licensed clinical social worker who has a wide span of experience in terms of treating individuals with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, acquired brain injuries, and then my last act as a clinician working in a child and family guidance clinic, working with teenagers primarily with the focus of trauma and working with their parents as well, which is how this group came to be. Other than that, I am a daughter, a friend, a niece, an aunt, a follower of Jesus, and a disciple of Jesus, and a citizen of heaven. Um, but that is my personal and professional titles. And then hopefully to you, I am a resource so that you can survive these next couple of years with your team. So, the last couple of weeks, we had talked about what a tenacious team is. We had talked also about giving my story about how I was a tenacious teen back at some time ago, and then how we are meeting now just to be able to provide some help, some resources to you parents as you are parenting the teens of today, which is not an easy task. So, my hat's off to you guys who are doing it currently. Last week, we had left off on talking about like evaluation. So, I wanted to talk about that again today, just so that we can, I guess, we'll see how everyone did. Maybe even think about what kind of things to add to your evaluation time that's going to make this easier for you. Give me a moment while I find my notes because it is not where I put them. Uh, let's see if this is going to work. But anywho, as I'm trying to find my notes, how's everyone doing? I know for some of you guys, depending on where you're living in the country, at least in Connecticut, you either had just survived spring break with your teen or you're about to get ready for battle this week as you're trying to find things for your teen to do because they're going to be home all week with probably no homework. And you're probably trying to fill up their schedule or maybe get them to do things around the house for you while they're going to be home. Either way, I wish you well as you are preparing for the week. For those who are going to be surviving, or for those who just got off of spring break with their teen, you made it. Tomorrow's a new day. They go to school on Monday, and you will have more free time for those who are either home during the day, and then for those who are working during the day, you can go to work in peace knowing that your teen is at school versus at home doing who knows what. Um, but yeah, so if you did survive, great. And if you're trying to trudge through and you're trying to figure out how to get through this next week after just the past week of spring break, then that's what we're talking about today in terms of evaluation. We had talked about last week about just being able to notice what's going on in your home, being able to see how you are responding to things, being able to notice how you're feeling, how you are talking to yourself primarily. Are you pouring into your cup or are you giving everything you have away to others? So we'll say that step one of this evaluation process is take notice. So we had talked about with your words. We talked about the first thing we talked about was being careful with your words and not with your words with your team, but more with your words with yourself. So are you careless with your words toward yourself? Are you putting yourself down? Are you on the positive end? Are you very critical of yourself? Are your thoughts helpful or hurtful. So just taking notice about maybe there's a shift in your mood. What caused the shift in your mood? If you're feeling a little stressed, what are things that are on your plate that's causing the stress? Right? Not just being able, like I know sometimes it's easy to just get up, roll out of bed, and just keep going. But oftentimes, taking the moments to pause to see what's happening in your day to day, to see what's happening in your week or in your moment, then you're able to better shift yourself for whatever you need, right? Part of this, of our time meeting together, is talking about you first. You, the parent, come first. You are yourself before you are a parent, even though your team probably wants to take everything you got. As that's just what the developmental period that they're in right now. So they will try to take everything you got. But you are yourself first before you are a teen, before you are a parent. And what that means is, like we had talked about with the last couple of weeks, for those who are joining us for the first time now, is just being able to start with you. Before you even get to your teen, start with yourself first. So, step one, like I just said, take notice. What is happening in your day? What is shifting in your mood? What are the things that are on your plate that might be too heavy to carry on your own? And just take notice. Next step would be to identify. So, what are your thoughts saying? What are your emotions trying to tell you? What are some of the reactions that you're doing? Right? Because we talked about, in the world of therapy, they talk about thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? So first comes our thoughts, then comes our feelings, then come our actions. But what oftentimes happens is that we have the feelings first before we even notice the thoughts. Sometimes we present with action before we even feel the feeling and we even notice the thoughts. So sometimes, do they happen in that order? Yes, but oftentimes, because things are moving quickly, especially when you're in a home where there's some challenges, where there's some friction, whereas there's a little bit of struggle between you and the people in your home, whether it be your teen or other people, that things move too fast that we can't always notice all the parts until we take a pause and break down things to see what happened. So that's why the first step is to take notice, and the second step would be to identify. So what are your thoughts saying? What was the emotion you were feeling in that moment? Sometimes we're able to slow ourselves down in the moment and be able to do this thing. Sometimes it doesn't happen until afterwards. Either way, it's a good idea to do either one. It doesn't matter if it's before or after or during. The goal is to actually do it. And for those of you who haven't been really processing through your moments or processing through your day, then that maybe might be the task for you to do this week, in terms of taking notice and just identify. We won't talk about labeling or replacing or doing any type of intervention like that. We want to take notice first and just identify. Are your thoughts helpful or hurtful? Are they making things better or are they making things worse? Are your emotions up and down all day, or are they stable? Or are you feeling any emotions at all? Sometimes we just go through things on autopilot, that we're not feeling anything. We're just going according to what we normally do. So we're just on autopilot. Almost like when you're driving a car, and sometimes you might be driving home and you didn't even realize you're driving, but you made it home safely, but you didn't even realize you're driving, right? That's a little form of a dissociation, but that's a healthy type of dissociation because that happens a lot. But thinking about that in terms of just being able to take notice, slowing down, identifying what's happening in your week, identifying what's happening in your day, identifying what's happening in the moment when you are having these periods, either with your teen or away from your teen, because, like we talked about, the theme here is you first, you, the parent first. So if you are having all these emotions up and down, work is stressful, maybe home is stressful, and then you are probably, what often happens is when we're feeling stressed, we're feeling all these emotions, we are taking out these emotions on other people. That is part of the reason why sometimes the struggle with your teen is heavy, because part of it is that there's no self regulations for yourself first. For you, yourself, me, myself, right? Our job is to regulate ourselves before we go talking to other people, before we go handling situations, because if not, then we can't be too careful about what we say to others. And if we're not too careful, we might say things that we don't mean to say. We might do things that we don't mean to do. We might hurt people's feelings, which is why it's important to take notice. So, the goal for you this week is to take things slow. Well, I also understand that with the reality of today, that you can't take all things slow. So whether that mean in the beginning of your day, maybe that's at the end of your day, you want to take some time to to slow down, to really think about what happened so that you can move your best foot forward. Now, I also understand that sometimes things just move quickly, that you may not always have the time to slow down. And for that parent, I would say then take the moments that you do have in the morning, in the afternoon, on your lunch break, or whatever you're doing to take a moment to slow down and take a breather. You don't have to move at a fast pace just because someone is asking you to. And if moving at a fast pace is causing you more stress, then I guess maybe I might say, is it worth it? Um, but yeah, I would say take this week to really break things down so that you can really notice what's happening and what's on your plate and what's really affecting your ability to manage yourself first, and then maybe think about how it's affecting you to be able to manage your home and your teams. But managing yourself first, being able to pour into your cup first, as we talked about last week, being able to say, okay, I need to do this, or I'm feeling this, or I need to change this, versus we talking about everyone else and what they need to do. So we're starting with looking within for the parents who are joining me, for the caregivers who are joining me, because I know some of you guys are not. Some of you guys might be biological parents. Some of you might be step parents. Some of you might be foster parents. Some of you might be grandparents or other family members or other individuals who are caring for a teen in your home. But we're starting with you. So some self-reflection, some inner work, so that you can parent and lead by example in your home from, we'll say, parent to supervisor, because we know the teens of today are quite something. They are very bold and courageous, but they are also emotional. They are can be seen as rebellious. They are stubborn, and there's a lot that's going on in this world, which is why it's important for you to manage yourself before you even get to your teen, because just like you, they have a lot on their plate too. And the only difference is they just got here. You've been here for a while, so you know what the drill is. Even if it is difficult, even if it is difficult, that you know what the drill is for the most part. You know what is expected of you for the most part. For them, they are still figuring out the world. They're still figuring out who they are and who they want to be. They're still figuring out a lot of different things. So yeah, that makes that considering all those things, there's a lot on the plate for both you and for them. Um, Sorry to my people on YouTube. I know I'm looking at my camera for Instagram, and then YouTube is down here, but I'm usually looking up at Instagram just because I like the camera better. Sorry. Um, but yeah, I guess thinking about those things, and if I think about this next coming week, however last week went, let it go is what I'd say, and we start afresh. It's currently 8:47 on the East Coast. We're starting afresh tomorrow. We're starting afresh tonight. So if you do have more time while your kids are either getting ready for bed or people are getting ready to wind down, that might be the time for you to take a breather, for you to think through, for you to decide what's going to change in your week this week. So, however last week went, let that go, and we're moving on to a new week. Moving on to a new week to be able to really evaluate. So, taking notice. So, what changed in your mood? What changed in your action? What changed in your behavior? What changed in your day? And then we are going to identify, right? We're going to notice what our thoughts are saying, notice what our emotions are telling us, what kind of information and feedback is it giving us? How are people responding to what we're saying and doing? Is their response a good one or a bad one? Right? Because sometimes we think we might be the most effective person when we're saying things, or we think we're communicating well, until we notice the response on the other end. So if the response on the other end is good, or is they understand, or they are able to relate to what you're saying, versus if the other person is not responding so well, in terms of they might be getting upset, they might be getting angry, maybe they're ignoring you. There's a lot of different responses, but sometimes how we might say it or what we're taking notice in a moment to moment might just determine how we choose to communicate what is going on so that we can be the most effective person. So, as I was saying, for the rest of this week, we are going to take things slow. We're going to take notice. We are going to take notice and we're going to identify just so that we can truly evaluate what things are or where you are right now in terms of yourself, where you are right now in terms of your parenting. And the next time we meet, we could talk more about where you want to be or where you'd like to be and how I can help you get there. So hopefully that wasn't too much on your plate. I know it is a Easter weekend and it is Sunday night at 8:49, so I won't keep you for too much longer just because I know some of you guys are winding down. For those of you who have joined me live today, I thank you for joining and participating. For those who get a chance to see this video later, please share, please comment, please email me if you like. My email as well as my website is in my bio on my page so that you can share anything you'd like to share with me in terms of your parenting, in terms of challenges. Maybe you have a specific question. Maybe you have an idea about what I should be talking about here. So it would be great to hear from you. And I guess I will see you guys all the next time.